Yo, I'm claiming it first. Disney FX, pay me. Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of The Nerdy Brew, and here on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now if you like one of those things or all of those things, why don't you consider like, subscribing, and hit that notification bell and becoming a fellow Brewster. So today, fellow Brewsters, this is a coffee talk. Now I just want to say that me and Couchgod favorite show, me and Couchgod's favorite show of all time is Sons of Anarchy. And Sons of Anarchy has a rich world, deep mythology, complex characters, and a great storyline beginning to end. And we watched it all the way through. We watched it from season to season. We had our own coffee talks amongst ourselves about how much we love that show. So Mayans MC is on his way to finish his last season. And Sons of Anarchy is a reputable and famous property. So I just want to discuss the reasons why the Grim Bastards, who were a biker gang, the all-black biker gang that was inside of the show, why they should be the next potential spin-off series on FX. So let's just get into reason number one. So number one for reasons for them to be a spin-off would be an established presence already inside the world, because they had a significant part to play within the Sons of Anarchy universe along with the main cast with the characters. And then as it being a spin-off series, it could be more recognizable and appealing to existing fans. So the Grim Bastards were introduced within the third season of the Sons of Anarchy and quickly became fan favorites. They were portrayed as loyal, tight-knit group of boxers who were not only tough and ruthless, but had their own code of honor. And so furthermore, the Grim Bastards have already had a significant impact on the main storyline of Sons of Anarchy. They played an important role in several key plot lines, such as providing protection for Sam Crow during the war with the Mayans, helping rescue Jax and others when they were kidnapped, and participating in the final battle against the Chinese. This established presence within the main show has helped to build a dedicated fan base of the Grim Bastards. So with that being said, it provides a natural transition point for a spin-off series for the characters to interact and already have a laid foundation. So let's get into the second reason, will be diversity and black perspective. I was going to say people of color, but we'll get to that as well. But the Grim Bastards offer a unique perspective on the outlaw biker world as an all-black motorcycle club. And as a spin-off series, it can explore the complexities of race, identity, and loyalty within the subculture all in itself. So with FX, the black representation just came to an end. Atlanta just ended last year, and then Snowfall just ended this week. So now that demographic, and also with Mayans MC is ending this year as well, that puts in a demographic between black people and people of color, because I don't know what programming that they're going to have moving forward, but right now that just is able to put in a place of that vacuum to have content there. And with this already being an established property with established characters who happen to be people of color, I don't see why not try to fill that void with that light content. So the original Sons of Anarchy had a lot of racist overtones within the show, but not all the characters were racist, but it was just an aspect of that world, which is reflective of the world we live in today. But there was for example, Jax was trying to move over out of the gun business and have the Grim Bastards be the one to do the transportation for the Irish. And the Irish were obstinate against that because the Grim Bastards happen to be all black. There was also the bylaws where Juice, a character from Sons of Anarchy, had his whole entire world stressed out and shattered because they had a bylaw against having black people within the club. So that resulted in him being blackmailed, betraying the club, having stress, all of those factors because of that law. And we could see how it would be hard for the group to navigate within such a racist paradigm structure while they're trying to establish themselves. So like if there was a Grim Bastards spin-off series, it would offer you a unique perspective on the biker culture that is one that is not often depicted in mainstream media. By showcasing the experiences and struggles of black bikers, a spin-off series would help to challenge the stereotype of the outlaw biker gang as a white working class male. This representation would not only be important for black viewers who are underrepresented in media, but who would also help broaden the perspective of the fans who are already attached to the Sons of Anarchy universe. Number 3 should be a new setting. So for me, in my mind, what I came up with, and I'm going to continue to talk about, which leads into point 4, is that it should be a prequel series. And with it being a prequel series to the main Sons of Anarchy show, you have the Mayans, which is post Sons of Anarchy, and it's that particular charter ran by Marcus, who started it. But when you have the show in a new setting, it doesn't have to be held down by what's already established, because in Sons of Anarchy, the show took place in fictional town of Charming, California, upper north of California, where they were by the Redwoods, because they were called Sam Crow of the Redwood Originals. So if you had it to where they needed to be at to have their own storylines, their own triumphs, their own tribulations, their own growth, it doesn't mean because Tio, who was played by Michael Beach, his character was in Lodi, California. So you could still have the California element, or it could be broadened out to maybe they moved into, because they could have start the charter someplace else, and then transition into California. But it starts a whole new setting, time period, and perspective that's not usually seen, or we could still have it as a period piece with having it as a unique setting. So my number 4, which I got into, was potential for a new story, so compelling storytelling. So the Grim Bastards have a rich history within the Sons of Anarchy universe, and a spin-off series could help dive deeper into their backstory, their relationships, and their conflicts. So for example, to me, I was thinking that the movie or the show would take place in the late 80s, early 90s, from anywhere between 89 to all the way up to 97, 95, around those times, because it could establish the culture of that time, definitely since Snowfall ended, about the drug and Nicaragua and Contra and all of that. But they could have their place in dealing with Sam Crow, and Sam Crow at that time has a rich history, so it could incorporate the first 9 or the early days of Sons of Anarchy, when John Teller, who was Jax Teller's father within the show, and he's a ghost, his memory is played throughout the main series. So if we could have him interact within the Grim Bastards, it just further establishes that they're part of this world. So the Grim Bastards was a sister charter, opposite of who Sons of Anarchy was. And the relationship seems to be that, like, Clay Morrow, John Teller, and Bobby Elvis were the ones who had a relationship with them over the years to be allies. So we can see where that relationship came from. Also, the fractions between it. Let's say, for example, this is just hypothetical that's coming out of my mind. Let's say, for example, Tio, Moro, and Sticky are friends of either three of those, and I'll say closer to Clay, because Clay was more interactive with black people within the show anyway. So let's say one of them is cool with Clay, or both of them are cool with Clay, and they're bikers in their own right, and they're actually two outlaw men by themselves, and they like, yo, you know, we're friends with you, like, how come we can't get into the club? And then like Piney, who is Opie's father, is like, nah, like, he was racist for real, like that. Or Opie wasn't like that. Opie wasn't racist. The younger generation wasn't racist. Clay wasn't racist. It would just show like the interactions, and we could probably have a young Tig in the show as well, who was the sergeant of arms who was close with Clay. And we could just see those seeds if you wanted to show that this is still established within Sons of Anarchy. But while they're away, having their own trials and tribulations, these two characters of Tio and Sticky, you can see, you know, certain things while they're not tied to the Sons, but the Sons is a way for them to establish their own biker gang. And for them to get deeper into the criminal element, I will say that there could be the time of when John goes to Belfast in Ireland. And while he's there, we can see him say goodbye to Tio. We could have a young recasting of these actors. That's another thing why this is such a good idea to revitalize the show. But it could also be a spinoff to the first 9 series as well, that has also been in development from Kurt Sutter. But it could still be intertwined, have it take place so far back. It doesn't mess with the story that's forward, and it could also incorporate the rich history that's established already. You know, for example, John Teller's first son died, and then Jax followed along, and we could see that the Grim Bastards there at his son's funeral, or we can see them even at John's funeral, just to establish that they've always been there. From what I understood, that they've been around since the 90s, fully established, but we could see how they probably came together, what kind of criminal elements that they got involved in, and just their own turmoil and their own trials to get to where they needed to be as a fully established club. And like, for me personally, I like personal stories. So having interpersonal stories navigating the morally gray, you can see in the white power structure, while the club is still trying to establish its own identity. And like, even with that being a prequel series with new storytelling, we can see the early days of even the Mayans MC, and just all the things that were Easter eggs or hinted to within the show, it'd be able to be further brought out. So as I said before, as it being number 4 of compelling storytelling, we can see that if it takes place in the past, it's a very specific time, and we can still incorporate John Teller, and just these certain milestones could be introduced, and it's from an outside perspective. So they're not the first 9, they're not Sam Crow, they're not seeing the machinations of Clay Morrow and Gemma being deceptive, but you know, these certain things that John is noticing, or even having a relationship with Tio for him to be some type of a confidant to a certain extent. It could just be those kind of things, and Tio could be, you know, an older man when Jax Teller was around, or when he's a child, and just to see these things, to know where it's gonna go. Tio Cross, he got grafted into the club.
Right now, let's vote on something that actually makes sense. Tio.
Yeah. Beautiful. Then I nominate Tadarius Orwell Cross. Jesus Christ. For the Sam Crow patch.
I second it.
All in favor?
Yay!
His name is Tadarius. He waits a year before he can hold an office, but he should be a full patch.
Tadarius.
Come on in.
Unless I came out of your goddamn womb, don't ever call me that.
What if we called you Sam Crow?
But if you have it as a prequel, you can see his growth and establishment to how he became president with Sticky in making their own brand and their own club, and how they're intertwined together with Sons of Anarchy. Okay, so now we get into number 5. Number 5 will be franchise expansion. So the success of Sons of Anarchy and Mayans has shown that there's a strong fan base for stories about outlaw biker clubs. And also, this is a way for the Grim Bastards and the IP of Sons of Anarchy to expand the franchise and keep its fans engaged. And so, like, as a spin-off, it will be able to be set within the same universe, feature the similar amount of faces and names and people, places, dates, and it could help reignite interest in the original show and keep the brand relevant. And additionally, a successful spin-off could lead to increased merchandising opportunities, as well as potential crossovers and future collaborations within the Sons of Anarchy universe. So it could just continue to be a mainstay in popular culture because so many people ended up loving that show. I being one of them. As I said, it's me and Couchgod's favorite show of all time. Those are the 5 reasons why I believe and I know for a fact. And as I said, this video was impromptu. I didn't even plan about doing it as like one of my list of like coffee talks that I wanted to do. This was just pure inspiration that came to my mind. That I was like, yo, I gotta get this out because I didn't want it to be fleeting or dwindle within my own energy and I'll be disappointed. So I was like, yo, let me just bring it up and bring it to the people. With all that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I want you to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. Have a fantastic day because you deserve it. This is that channel. Peace.
Mouth on top, kung fu, Bruce Lee chop, moon rocks, go Red Sox, tryna go far like boondocks, headshot, blunt stay hot, talking shit, gotta pull up on they block, you fraud, I'm Couchgod, know you got a tax like a state charge, safe house, safe house, safe house, safe house.